Hello and a warm welcome to the Road to Success with the Lady Mayowa podcast. Here we get into the stories, struggles, and successes of career professionals and entrepreneurs. My guest today is Richard Fitzgerald, the founder, CEO of Augustus Media, and of course, Lovin Dubai is under this media brand, the popular Lovin Dubai. He is one profound individual, and I absolutely love how we get into his life, his work ethic, what he believes, how he's been driven to build this multi-million-dollar business. This is one conversation you definitely don't want to miss. So typically, I would have said that my guest today needs no introduction, but I know that his brand is probably bigger than his name. Well, you correct me. Guys, with me is Richard Fitzgerald. You can call him Rich. He is the CEO of Lovin Dubai, and I'm so honored that you're just here with us on Road to Success, which you are supporting. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Mayo. I know we've discussed this podcast for a while, so it's great to be on as a guest, and it's great to see you doing your work in this way, and also to be part of the upcoming Road to Success event.
Yay, awesome. It is Road to Success, and your story personally, right, inspires me a lot. Like, I look at you when I see another big milestone, I'm like, Mayowa, that's the possibility for you, because I'm in media, right?
Yeah.
Another branch, but same. And I'm like, that's what is possible for you, Mayowa. I look at this massive building you guys are in, and I'm like, this could be the Lady Mayowa company or something someday.
Of course.
But it's really inspiring. Do you feel the burden of the position you occupy, where a lot of people come and say, you inspire me, I look up to you? Does that put any burden on you?
I don't really get flattered by it. It's nice to hear it, and it's nice, I know you a while, but I don't really take it from what it is. I kind of go, oh, should I feel as if that's real? But I don't, because I just think I have a job. I'm an employee employed by myself and I have a vocation and it's my job and I'm just doing it. But you're right, though, the aspiration, the company and the milestones and the figures are obviously bigger than when I started, and it hasn't happened overnight. And but I don't feel as if it's kind of like, oh wow, this is amazing, I've made it. I don't ever for a second feel that, because not that I can't celebrate the now or enjoy it, but it was always aspirational. Always thought, I always wanted to get here, and I always want to get to the next step. But the hurdles around the way is the journey, and it's not necessarily as simple as just wanting it, because you have to go through personal journeys. You have to go through many difficult things that you can control and things that you can't.
Absolutely. And I mean, you started this many years ago. What, 7, 8?
8, yeah, September 2015, yeah.
8. And you came to Dubai about 11 years ago?
Yeah.
And I look at what you've put up in all that time. Did you see this coming? Was this like the big picture, or was this something that just happened along the way?
I was always ambitious. Like, even when I was in university, I just didn't find myself. I just didn't find my flow. And when I started my career, I eventually, through stumbling through some companies, I eventually started to get promoted a little bit. And but even still, like, success, or what's the word? Not monetary, but like materialistic. Like, that never really came. And I was obviously going through a journey and just career growth, personal growth, skills, and then getting older, getting more experience, so getting different roles. But when I arrived in Dubai, like, I had a director title at the age of 28, going on 29. But that was kind of late a bit. I was kind of stalled on promotions a few years, but I had that when I arrived. But that's all I really had. I didn't have, I had been in London for a few years before that, and I was London in social media manager level in 2009. That didn't pay well. You're talking about like 25 or 30,000 pounds sterling a year. So it's not a lot of money. It's kind of like entry level stuff over here, in some companies. So so when I came here, like, I didn't have savings, and I was living a lifestyle of, like, you go on holidays, you go out with your friends, you kind of you go to weddings and you spend money, right? Like, and rent in London's a lot. Like, and whatever about background, but I didn't like personally. I didn't have much.
All that money.
Yeah, and anything that I might have got over the years, like sometimes it would be to support when I was between jobs and different stuff. I didn't have investments. I wasn't super focused on that. I was like super focused on. I had a phrase in my head, like the harder you work today, the more you're rewarded tomorrow. So I just went all in on every job. And, some of that comes back on compound because the skills that you have are ready for the next company or whatever. But yeah, like even the first 3 years here, like I'm sort of 10, 12 years younger. So I had even more energy to run across the region. And like I would put in incredible hours, more so than many people at my level in the company. And they would think that they're doing better because they might get higher salary or they get an award at the end of the year. But actually, the compounding, so the map of the region that you see outside there, that came from that time. That came from the company I was with. And that gave me the vision to believe that even as an immigrant who doesn't speak the language, can do it across the region, because I would go around to these countries and I'm like, hang on, this is how you do it. I'm going to do it in my own way. And that was sort of the inspiration for that. But like, then I set this up when I was 32. I just turned 40, and it doesn't go from, like someone described, if someone's listening to a podcast, I'm doing a hockey stick, but someone described that the other day. But really, it's not. Like, it is sort of, it's step by step. Like the growth from one employee in a co-working desk in JLT in Astrolabs to when you have to leave there with 5 visas, to the cheapest possible equivalent to 1-bed studio office in cluster C, 800 square foot, for 80,000 dirhams a year. Like, that was 1 to 5 employees. And that's the same jump, I think, now from 80 to 100 employees, because it causes the same strain on the business financially and resources. But obviously, 20 people is more than 4 people, right? But that's the compounding bit that you get. And we just took 80 people to the north coast in Egypt, and I gave a talk during one of the sessions, and I played a video from TEDx saying about tribes. And tribes in this video is described as like personal development, team development, between 20 and 150 people. And I particularly choose this because of the feelings and the collaborative that people can have together. And the talk is particularly good, but also in relative to where we're going next. And I do see that sort of 80 people to 100, 120 by 2025 quite quickly. So, but I would never have thought, I'm going to pitch an idea to VCs in 2015, and in a year I'm going to have 120 people with $10 million investment. That's not how I think. We don't do the VC thing. We literally, like, the 80 to 100 means that we need to see money coming in more ways or different ways. Otherwise your costs will outpace your revenue.
Yeah. And then you get frustrated.
Well, you start losing your business, don't you? Like, you start overspending or growing too fast. Like, that's the risk of having an aspirational region, because if you try and it's like, not nice to use war analogies, but it's spreading the resources too thin. If you get stretched across a territory, then not only can you not win every battle or can you not be successful in every market commercially, you also the problems can set in different areas, and you can take your eye off the ball in the core areas. So it all has to be quite organic, and you have to be quite patient, even at growing 40-50% a year. Absolutely.
I look at I followed that trip to Egypt online as well, and it was just amazing, to start small and then get to that level, and just thinking about this conversation before I came here, I'm like, I would love to get your thoughts on thinking small and playing small, because I feel like a lot of people on their road to success, they've got the skills, the ideas, the aspiration, but somehow get stuck in, let's just start small. That's a good thing, but you find a lot of people get stuck in starting small, and they probably don't know when to take a big risk or take a big jump, or just get out of their comfort zone? Have you had experiences where you've had to push yourself out of a comfort zone, and how did you do that?
Yeah, I have. I mean, all the time. Part of our values is like ingenuity, velocity, and tenacity. And ingenuity is about believing in that we've all different skills, but it's all to do with, in sports. If you're to improve or in anything, you're going to have to push a little bit. Yeah. And in work as well, and in comfort zones, I stretch myself all the time. I stretch myself as a leader. I stretch myself in terms of different types of products that we want to take on the business. But I'm not afraid of the comfort zone stuff. Like, I do triathlon and I do things that physically I probably shouldn't be in a natural fit to do this stuff. But I know that it's conditioning and I know I can do it. But that's not necessarily I don't have a problem with the comfort zone thing. Well, you have to be careful. Like, if your max heart rate is 100 or whatever, like if it's 100%, but if your max heart rate is 160, then how long can you do 70% of that? Like, how long can you run at 134? And if you go up to 150, you're not going to run much. So you have to be careful on, like, there's comfort zone and then there's just stupidity, right? Like, there's pushing yourself outside the comfort zone, and then there's just like jumping off a cliff and hoping for the best, right? Like, so there's a degree of it, and good coaches in sport know how to dial it up, dial it down, dial it up, dial it down, and temper the body and the conditioning. And the personal growth and career growth is the same. We have about 7 or 8 directors in the company now, and like many companies, when I do their reviews, people could always look on paper in the company, if the company's growing, if they're doing their job, that they can be promoted. So that's what, say you're a director and you're absolutely brilliant at your job and the business is absolutely flying, right? Then automatically you're ready for next level, MD. Yeah. But what if you're not cool in your personal life? What if there's some of this stuff that I don't know about? Then you're not going to nail the MD role. And I think, that's the tricky thing, right? And going back to the question around, I can be absolutely believed that I know more about digital media publishing and business than anyone else in the market. And my product market fit with Lovin Dubai can be the absolute best. But if I've got stuff going on personally, then I'm stressed, tired, or not feeling motivated or uninspired, then it's not going to work. Then I'm ultimately going to fail as an MD or CEO. And we see this. We see people getting promoted because they've done the 20 years. And when they get the gig, there's something in their personal growth that they haven't ticked. And they're not ready for it. And then people will make excuses and say, oh, it's because they were always this role. No, but if you're whole, if you're there, then you're ready. But you're almost never ready. But, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you're talking about, I mean, in this conversation, I think you've mentioned personal growth not less than 4 to 5 times. And I feel like I've picked on that as, like, that's a big thing, because I once said that no business you do can, like, you are the number one project. No business can be as successful if you are not successful, you as a person. And I just thought on that line of questioning to ask about, what do we do with growing personally? So, coaching it's growing, it's a big thing already, and it's growing. Some people, it's mentors, it's coaching, it's some kind of informal training and learning that people do just to sort of hack the next level, the next, I don't know, mental state. What do you subscribe to?
Yeah, I mean, I go along with a lot of that. I believe in a lot of that. Like, I think I just adopted a philosophy personally of compounding everything. So, they'd always say that investing, financial interest compounds, or fitness, like Michael Phelps, which you would say money in the bank, right? If he's swimming every day, he knows he's got more miles in, and when he goes to the Olympics. So we understand these. Like, you're nodding, you understand these, but what we don't. And then relationships and love and things like that. It is about the effort putting in. And it's the same with learning, right? So when I do my training, when I do triathlon, I'm listening to books. I'm constantly listening to books. And now, when I was in university, I remember when I was in Germany, I had a Spanish girlfriend, and we were watching TV, and we watched it in English. And I was like, because I couldn't be bothered at the time as a 20-year-old watching it in German or Spanish. And I was fascinated, but I was too lazy to learn. And now that's gone, right? I only watch Arabic shows, and I don't feel like, because I would feel anything else is a waste of time, even though they're crappy drama stuff, you know. But like, it's because I bought into this thing about learning, and the learning compounds, and the default of the learning is personal growth. Like the default of it's like what food you put in is the default, and if it's all in the same direction, if there's a higher goal of like, it's all there, right? But I don't get super stressed. Like, you know, I don't go major into like, I will work with a therapist if I need to over a certain phase. I will test something out if I need to, but I don't. I find something that works for me, a flow that works for me. And if that works, then I kind of, and if I veer off that a little bit, I don't get stressed because I know that I've kind of cracked it, and I know what I like. So I know I'm going to steer back in, and I don't have any like imposter syndrome or self-doubt anymore. Like, I believe I can run this company, and I believe that, you know, and it's going back to what I was saying about when I speak to the directors, right? Like, if I talk about running 80 people now, and when you're saying start little, like, I do have my sleeves rolled up. I do like being in the weeds, in the trenches. I do like knowing everything. But why can't that be 800 people, right? And the problem is, like, then you have to take a higher ground. But I'm always going to be semi hands-on, right? Because I believe that you should be. If you're a restaurant owner and like, you're supposed to smell the foods and walk the floor. Can you do it in every restaurant every day? No. But like, I've already proven that I can hire people, right? Like, I have offices in Cairo that work. I have office in Riyadh for 6 years that's profitable, and I'm barely there, right? So I'm not majorly worried about that, but I do it with a hands-on approach. So without fail, I have 52 calls a year with my guy who runs the Riyadh office at 2:00 on Sundays. We don't miss it. Right. And if we do, we catch up if there's a day off on Saturday, but I don't miss it, you know. And like, so this type of stuff, that it's like, you can always find a way to do the equivalent of being right there. Yeah. Of that small. Right. But I'm not, you know, I see some like Tim Ferriss 4-Hour Workweek and stuff like that. And I listen to parts of that book, and then I'm like, I don't want this, because I don't want to feed my brain with that stuff. Because where he aspires to be, I don't want to aspire to be. I don't want a 4-hour work week.
Wow.
I want an 80-hour work week when I'm 90. That's what I'm trying to be. So any tips to, like, and we were just watching $1 Million Listing, and like, it's property in the Louvre and Abu Dhabi and all this stuff. And I said to our other May, I said to him, it's so seductive, isn't it? Like, that you'd want to retire. And then whenever I see this stuff, I'm like, nope, zone back in. You know, don't let those thoughts go there.
Lord.
No way.
So you're like a workaholic.
No, it's
in a way.
It's like, yeah, but you say it as, like, you say it in the.
It's not a bad thing. I'm one myself, so.
Yeah, but you use terms that are linked to alcoholic, right? And workaholic and holic is like excessive, right? I see. But if you walk every day, are you a walkaholic? If you learn every day, are you a learnaholic? If you're a farmer, are you a farmaholic?
Farmaholic.
No, you're just, if you pet dogs every day, are you a dogaholic? No, like, it's what it is. If you read every day, like, it's what it is.
Oh my God, that is a good one.
But why am I in the busiest quarter of the year with all the stuff going on? Why am I not stressed?
Good question. Why are you not stressed?
I am a little bit. No, I'm okay. But it is pressure at the moment. But I'm not because I genuinely believe that I can cope with this. Yeah.
You mentioned that you may have struggled with imposter syndrome because you said not anymore.
As in, when you talked about the comfort zone stuff. So yes. When I was 32 and say 35 in the first few years of this, like, when I see successful other people, right? Like, going back to the first point of saying, when you say, hey, Rich, you're doing well or whatever, then, if I see other people with a big office or whatever, I would think, what did they do to get there? And then I would say, it's because their attention to detail is perfect, or because they've got killer sales skills. And I would start seeing things that they do that I don't have. And then it would mean that I'm never going to get there. Like, I can't really spell, right? And I was the editor of Lovin Dubai, and I still do content a little bit. No, I try to pretend I don't. But like, I still do the content. And like, I didn't study journalism. I shouldn't be leading a media company on paper, but I am. Yeah. And I think I've earned it. And that's the bit where it's kind of like, I put in the hours like anyone has. So that's the bit of like, going back to imposter syndrome. Okay, can I run a company of 80 people? Well, I think, as I said, I think it's as hard as running a company of 5 people. So right now, do I think that I think our company's worth $20-30 million, right? But I think it should be worth 100 million. I just don't think it is right now. I think it will be. And then if it's listed on the stock market, do I think I can run that? Of course I can. But in the past, I mightn't have thought I could, because that's the guys on the news. That's them. That's those people. And something happened. No, nothing happened. They just worked hard, and they just went step by step by step.
Same thing you're doing.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Because like, I want to run a company that's big, but then I'm going, how could I, right now, today, the 21st of September at like 2:30 p.m. Don't really know if that's a rule that you should say those things on podcasts. Anyway, you can edit it out. But like, if you think of that, right? If you think of the office here, could I have 100 people in Kabul doing media under the Taliban? Could I? Is that even feasible? What about, Ronaldo's been in Iran, and I'm talking to someone about Lovin Tehran. Is that possible? Is that politically possible? Is it commercially viable? Right? But we were the first foreign-owned company in Saudi Arabia. We have 20 people there. We've just done Egypt. We're in Khartoum, even though there's a war there for last 5 months. And then for 2 or 3 years, we've tried Pakistan. It hasn't worked, and I haven't given up. And I've just found it.
Slow down.
But I've just found another guy, and this week after the third, like Vice have pulled out, so I've been kind of finding good talent there. I've just found one guy, and I'm going, yes, finally, and like, but that's years, and that's the patience, and Qatar and Muscat and Lovin Tunis and what's happening in Morocco, right? 22 Arab League countries, and then when you crack that. Right? So by the time I'm 50, and when it is worth 100 million, then that's the exciting part, because 60, when we list it in 20 years time, then we start doing M&A, and then God help Europe and the US, because then I'll really take them on.
I am like, just hearing you go like this and that and this city and that city, I'm like, I'm getting overwhelmed just sitting here, because I lead a small team, right, for different things. And I know how it gets, like how my brain has to constantly work. If you are like the person in front, the vision, you have to drive it. You have to do it. Even when you find a great team, you don't rest, you don't sleep. You have to keep pushing it. And I'm like, you're going to talk about positioning for success at the Road to Success seminar. And it's exactly what you're living. It's the life that you're living. You talk about showing up in all of these countries, all of that in this same number of years. So it's not just Lovin Dubai, it's all the other stuff that you've also accomplished. And I wonder, how does one position for success? How does one align themselves in society, in the industry? How do you get to that point where you can get the opportunities and open those doors? Well, good questions. I think like you can create opportunities at any level. Like there's people who are just good at getting in my inbox on LinkedIn and getting 30-minute meetings from nothing, right? So, or anyone's inboxes. So people can create opportunities out of nothing, right? But I think the position for success, like in the Atomic Habits book, they talk about being the person who would do this thing. So if you see a triathlete or a cyclist or a boxer or a runner and you go, that looks like a runner, I don't look like a runner. But if you model yourself on that type of person, then automatically you become that type of thing, and you don't even know what's happening, but you look like that person to other people.
And but with positioning for success with us, like I mentioned that map of the region, but it started when I wrote down the mission to be the modern media company or preferred media company of choice in the Middle East and North Africa. So it's kind of blinkers, right? So say, for example, say someone says, hey, do you love in Lagos? Even though there's a nice ring to it, I don't do it because I've got 22 other countries to do first. Or Mumbai, I don't even get attracted by it. My head doesn't turn. And you know, but the other thing is we're not really doing Lovin. We're actually building Augustus Media, and we're actually building train tracks and ecosystem and licenses and offices and people. And that's when you say it gets too much, no, because I know the base is there. I know the employee manual, that 60-page employee manual. It's never going to be as loaded or worshipped as like a Netflix culture slides document, but it works for us. And it understands the region and it understands the cultural stuff. And every year, when something comes up touchy during the year with an employee, we make a note, we don't rush, and we add it to the manual the next year. So it's our internal governance. And we keep on doing these things. And, you know, we have a lawyer, we have a full-time lawyer. And in my other companies, this size and less, didn't have that in Egypt office. But so we have all these things because that's the positioning for success. It's that sort of like, you know, it's that sort of framework rooted, it's sort of foundation of a house. And why do I believe it is because media is so new, right? I was doing a talk and at your event, I will talk a little bit about the history of media, but you know, printing press was banned during the Ottoman Empire, all this sort of stuff that I kind of go on about a bit, but it's so true, right? Because people criticize media in this region. But if you look at it, the first printing press in Riyadh was in 1953. The Gutenberg printing press is from the 14th, 15th century, 1560, around then, right? The Times newspaper in the UK was from 1780. The Asharq al-Aswad newspaper in Saudi was 1973. 200 years later, right? So if you put things in perspective, no immigrant has written down a blueprint of what I'm trying to do, right? And we're doing it also at a time of influencers, a time of creators on podcasts, a time of TikTok. So we're doing it when you shouldn't really be doing the legacy thing. But we're pretending we're not doing legacy because we're doing it in digital. But actually, we're doing like what I say is like a legal firm with the same ethics and same principles of what a law firm would be 100 years ago, but we're specializing in digital. So we're doing media that just specializes in digital. So we embrace AI faster and all this sort of stuff, and video and text, audio and video and all this sort of stuff. But the position for success is that. And then it's kind of like, you know, say a company wants to buy us and say they see we do X million dollars revenue this year and they give us a nice multiple of 3 times, right? Then if I was trying to flip it after 8 years and cash out and look for that nice little apartment down in the Louvre in Abu Dhabi that we just saw on the glamorous thing there and put my feet up, then I could do that. But I think our plan and our ambition and the base of the house that we've built is worth at least 100 million, but no one's going to give me that. So why bother? You know? So, and then when I get the 100 million listing, like the April Fool's joke that Elon Musk bought Lovin Dubai for 100 million, when I get that, that'll be success on figurative in some people's minds or whatever, right? And then the question will be, how do you position for success? Because you don't get distracted on the way, because you kind of go, well, you know, and then when we get to that, it might be even bigger. We might want more.
So it's important to write.
Yeah, I think it is. I think writing down the mission. And, you know, also in 2019, I started doing a personal balance sheet that I do on the first of the month every month. And then on the 1st of January every year, I write down my goals, health, personal, all this sort of stuff. And there's 5 year, and then I adjust them 1 year. And I've adjusted them over the years. I take out trivial materialistic stuff, but there might be aspirational things like completing an Ironman or doing a marathon this time and things like that. And these sort of things work for me. Like these sort of things work with the career thing, with whatever. But yeah, writing down does help. And like, for example, learning, right? Learning is the macro one, knowledge. And then I'm like, I like history. So do I go to Rome to go do I take 2 weeks off a year to go on a history thing? Not really, because I can get it 30 minutes on the drive home from work, listening to the Restless History podcast about the Persian Empire or reading a book. So I then put down on Goodreads, I have 20 books a year challenge, and I'm not a natural fast reader, so I go to audiobooks. Yeah, exactly. So, so I do write things down, but then how do you achieve it? It's like any plan and execution, right? So if I think that knowledge if I'm a happier person when I'm learning, then how does that happen throughout the year? When we all say, hey, we want to save money, or we want to lose weight, or we want this or that, some of that puts pressure on. But, if I think, if I know knowledge is beneficial for me, I'm a happier person when I'm learning, and then it compounds and I can be personal growth, then I'll go, okay, well, how can I read? Because I would like to say I'll read one page at night, every night, but I don't. As soon as my head hits that pillow, I'm gone. And I have the Kindle I've all set up, but like, it's not even, it does, and I know if I read, I would get to sleep faster, but I don't even need to read. I'm just gone, as soon as there's just like dead, especially when I'm training. Like, so I don't know, so I can't read at night, and then I'm not traveling much. So I then do audiobooks when I train. And the 3 types of books that I fit in on rotation are international media, like autobiographies, or usually media books, right? So books about Rupert Murdoch, Bob Iger, any Comcast, any of these companies, or anything that comes out about media, like a guy called Ben Smith did a book called Traffic. So anything, or YouTube book, anything about this stuff that's international and zeitgeisty, as soon as it comes out, I'll go through it. Then self-motivation and self-help and these types of books. So, Atomic Habits, How to Win Friends and Influence People, like all those classics, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, like all those classics, they always get into this. And I've gone through them, a good proportion of them, since I started 4 or 5 years ago. And the 3rd type of book is the Middle East. So something around like, a 20-hour boring book about like a Secretary of State in the US for the Middle East, which I'm kind of like, I just struggle through it, but I know there's compounding. Then I'll know something else. Then when I'm having a conversation with Egyptians about wars in the 70s, I'll know the angle on it. And I know I don't know it all, but it all compounds. Yeah. So I keep building up the Middle East books, and keep building up, because it just helps me it helps learning, but it also has a knock-on effect. And that's just my strategy. That's it. And nothing else gets in. Fiction doesn't get in. A random book about Russia won't get in. China won't get in.
Focus.
Yeah. No way.
How do you relax? How do you or what do you do to even, what do you do to like reward yourself? Please don't say books.
No, I don't.
And don't say training.
I don't believe in rewards. I don't believe in holidays. It's marketing. What? I don't believe in treats. No.
Wait,
no,
Lord.
Because they're not. Because what is it? Tell me what a reward for you is.
Ice cream.
Yeah, but ice cream is full of sugar, which messes up the brain.
Well, not all the time. Just.
Yeah, but these things don't work for me. Like, okay, so sometimes I might buy, like on the 40th birthday, I bought something like for a travel bag, and that's probably a reward, right?
Did you say travel bag?
Like, but our shoes or whatever, but like, it doesn't really matter. But like, I don't really care. Like, I'm not that bothered.
Okay, how do you give yourself a pat on the back? I feel like it's the same question another way, but do you think about, you know what, Rich, you've done well.
But you can do gratitude by breathing for 30 seconds once a day. Like, you can just go, this is nice, and calm. Like, I could have done that in the last breath.
You're weird, right? You're very weird.
No, but why does it? Maybe, I mean, fine. I mean, like, unless I'm clinically diagnosed as a sociopath, I'll hang on to what I believe.
Where did you get that from?
The what?
Like, you saying reward, you don't believe in reward and travel, and because and I get it when you talk about like it's like Christmas. It's like totally purely chocolate commercial. We know.
But travel stresses people out. Like, you don't get rested.
Get on the plane, all the activities.
Like, it looks nice on videos. It's escapism.
But in reality,
what are you running from? Like, what? Like, love every day. I love routine. I love work. I love dealing with people. I love having something to get up for. I love that my phone is just, an inbox just explodes every day. Because I know what it was like when I didn't have that. And I don't want to not have that. Because that's boring.
That part. Exactly what I tell people. I'm like, there are people who are like maybe coming up and they look up and it's like they're aspiring and, oh, there's this thing they say God when. It's like, oh, when. But you don't realize that the higher you go, it's just more responsibilities, greater responsibilities really. And it doesn't get easier as you get up. And I tell people that I'd rather this than being like aspiring. I'd rather be busy. I'd rather be like, oh my God, how am I going to make this work? How am I going to turn Road to Success to like the biggest gathering of Africans and Blacks globally? How am I going? I'd rather keep pushing. Literally, there was a time I had this just almost sensation, like just thinking about how big.
Did you write that down?
It's here.
No, write that down.
Okay, I'll write it down.
That last phrase, position Road to Success, the biggest gathering globally for Blacks and Africans. Write that down.
I will.
Then it will be.
And I literally saw it. I saw a gathering in, oh my God, should I be telling people this? Yes. I saw it happen in like World Trade Center, like Dubai World Trade Center, like your GITEX. I see, you know, like people traveling all over the world coming here. And I see like governments of different countries are inviting us to say, please come and host in our country.
Love
like,
it.
And I know it takes work. It takes getting bigger even inside yourself. It takes strategizing, whatever it will take. But I'd rather be doing that than just a lesser version of myself wondering, when will I do this?
Yeah, there's some, I think, Russian psychologist or philosopher saying like define happiness, and there's the goals that you're never going to achieve. And then there's the ones that you can, that are hard, that take a year or two. And then there's the little daily ones. And that's happiness, right? Like I know like I say, our vision is to establish a new order of media advertising. I know we probably won't be bigger than Facebook or TikTok, but it's great to like
aspire and work towards it.
Yeah, and like just have it floating there away from the, you know. But
maybe someone's gonna pick up the baton one day and say, you know what, I'm gonna continue where Rich stopped.
Someone will, hopefully. I mean, I think I won't be able to do it all like in my lifetime, but like the middle part is that part where I think I can do it. I think in the Middle East, I think I can build this company, and I probably don't think the other thing will happen, but that's the happiness part. And then the day-to-day is this fun stuff. It's like we were talking before the show about like hiring people, you know, team building, navigating things, and understanding where media consumption is going, all this sort of stuff. Having these mini projects of building studios and this sort of stuff, you know, like that's the exciting day-to-day stuff. And why would I want to go on holiday? I don't. I sit in here on Sunday, and I'm Catholic. I sit in here on Sunday and Christmas Day, and I have calls with Egypt.
Oh my gosh.
Because for many years I did the opposite, and I wasn't that happy.
Yeah.
I'm happy now.
So I stop.
No, I'm not. No intention of it. And not many people understand it, right? Like, luckily my family are good, but they don't really get it. But like, we have a good relationship, but they don't really get
like,
it.
That's Rich. It's okay. It's just like that.
Exactly. Like on my 40th birthday, it's like, you're certainly one of a kind. In other words, you're weird, but we're good.
That's amazing. Tell me what success is to you now. I mean, I feel like in everything we've discussed, you actually answer that question in different ways. But now where you sit with everything you've accomplished, what is success to you?
I think I've heard really profound answers to what success is, and all the good answers are not the obvious, because success, we're brought up to believe it's getting that medal, or it's the materialistic stuff, or it's having the title, or it's whatever, or it's reaching that monetary goal or whatever. But then anything that doesn't say that is, oh, that's profound, because that's the true you, or whatever crap, you know. But like, but you know what I mean. So I don't have a profound answer, and I don't have a materialistic answer.
It's okay.
But it's more like it's like it's also not feeling imposter syndrome when people say you're successful, because you know, like I know most things are made up. Like if you read the Sapiens book, like you question everything about life and humans and all that sort of stuff. So I know a lot of things, especially companies, aren't real, right? Their names, their brands, their marketing implants in people's heads, right? So say that's all. Like, what is it? What is Nike? What is Apple? It's a computer, but so is another computer, right? Okay, but the price of this shoe is $5,000 and this one's 500, but it's the same rubber from the same factory, right? But you're the founder of that one, so that's, you know, so everything's sort of perceived. So try not to get majorly carried away with it. But, you know, personally, going back to road to success and what we're talking about at the start, is that personal growth. And if I, you know, on the day of judgment or whatever faith you have, like if I genuinely, self-actualization, like if I genuinely know that I've overcome, if I've left behind a different bad Richard that could have went a different direction, and I've navigated through difficult circumstances that was my own journey and mightn't be difficult for other people, and I've managed to do it, and that's success. That was profound.
It was profound. I'm like, he said he wasn't going to say anything profound, and he went, oh, like, that's amazing. All right, next question. Who was the first person to sort of personify success to you? Maybe as a young child, and you know, first person was like, this is like the visual human representation of success. Who's that person?
I used to love football when I was younger. Like first anything that was on TV in my house when I was young, like when cable came in. So wrestling was big first. And then from about 8 or 9 to about probably 20, I was just obsessed with football. So many people in football, like football managers, football players, but then later after that, like business people, yeah.
Any profound person, any one person that you say, this one?
Give me some hints. Like I'm not good on the spot. Like what? Like when I liked Blackburn Rovers, Alan Shearer was a good striker. Sir Alex Ferguson was an amazing manager. You know, CEO style like Bob Iger, Disney, even though they're struggling at the moment, or you know, second comeback or whatever is going on there. But like different things, different people. Sometimes I read books and get super inspired by people, like what Bernie Ecclestone did with Formula One. Sometimes I read that book and go, wow. Ted Turner, CNN, Rupert Murdoch, all names that have gone through tarnished images of late. But like when you build something from scratch, when you have a vision that no one else has, you know, those type of people, those type of things.
I can't let you leave without asking you about these guys at Dubai Problems. I was talking to her and I said, you know, success attracts everyone. Good, bad, investors, admirers, fans, also like frenemies and enemies.
Yeah.
People who just don't like you for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And I know no one's perfect. Right.
Yeah, true.
But honestly, do you enjoy the banter? Do you enjoy like and I know you guys give them a good run as well.
Yeah, it's all a bit of fun. I think the audience definitely likes some of the Dubai Problems, Lovin Dubai stuff. But in the last few months, you've got like Clown in Dubai. They're very funny. They're all meme accounts on Lovin Dubai. And there's Jiggling or something, Dubai, something like this. But, you know, it fascinates me, you know, that like people set up other accounts. I saw Lovin Colombo set up this week, Lovin Tehran. All these brands are just opening up. And before we were kind of like, oh, we have to be protective. And now we're just like, hey, you keep going. And like, we'll partner in the future. Because, you know, they're doing this not to like get a quick buck or sell an account or a domain. They're doing it because they kind of like their city. Like the guy who reached out to me from Baghdad, who's now running Lovin Baghdad, thought he was going to do it for free. And I'm like, well, you know, as in he thought he would just do it as a hobby. And I'm like, well, I want to commercialize this. I want to pay you because I want to structure this as a structured relationship so it lasts. Yeah. And same with in Palestine, same in these places. So I know I'm kind of deflecting from the banter hate stuff, but you know, I'll give a more serious answer on that. Like we're sort of a modern media company, right? Like we have National Media Council or MRO license. We do the news and this stuff. We have streaming sports on Smashi. We have, you know, we do this stuff, right? Yeah, the rest of the media here begrudge us a bit, right? Like in many different ways. I did a podcast with someone who her day job works for a national newspaper, and on the side she does a podcast, and they had no problem with any of the episodes. And as soon as she interviews me,
there's a problem.
It was made take down. And then we do a media partnership with a sporting tournament and another company who've been with them for a while. As soon as Lovin Dubai are in, no, we don't want them there. And then the people in charge of the event saw the that was just a silly, petty thing of being threatened by something new. And I can track this across radio stations, newspapers, TV stations. It's like the world's against us. And it's like when football managers would put up quotes from other managers in the dressing room to spur them on. I don't motivate that guys in a petty way, because I don't want to compete with any one person, whether it's Dubai Problems or it's any one of those ones who spends too much waking hours thinking of us. We just don't give it 5 minutes. We don't give it 5 seconds. Right? We might talk about it in 5-minute answers, but we don't actually spend time and energy of going, I need to beat them. Because none of them are on none of them have the what we're trying to do. None of them want to go where we want to go.
None of them are thinking legacy.
Yeah, I don't think I don't care about legacy, because that I think anyone who does is disrespectful to other humans. There are 7 billion people on the planet. 7 billion people will die in 70 years. Why the hell are you more important than any of those other people? Like, I'm not more important than anyone else. And my skeleton is going to be under some, or whatever. Like, it just doesn't matter.
If your name disappeared afterwards?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. History's all made up anyway. It's all narratives. I love it, but it doesn't really matter. Like, yeah, human evolution and stuff like that and contribution, but names and stamps and statues and no, it's like, because then you'll worry too much about it, and you'll shape it too much. You'll spend too much time shaping it, and that's fine while you're alive, but it doesn't really matter. Napoleon, whenever he would go, he's so obsessed with history that he understood his role in history. So he always tried to place himself in the moment of history. It's like if Donald Trump, thinks that he's one of the famous presidents, so then he needs to make the grand gestures rather than actually doing the work. Real history will write itself if you just get on with it.
Just do your bit.
Yeah. If you're preoccupied with positioning yourself on the way, if you're preoccupied with, standing in the place where X did or beating that record or whatever because that person did, right? The great ones are the ones that didn't try and be like the other person, Isn't it true? Like,
my God. I feel like we just unlocked the profound bit of this podcast. But Rich, it's been amazing just having this conversation. I'm going to get my review afterwards.
Yeah, I'll give you your feedback.
But thank you so much for just being here, supporting Road to Success, supporting this podcast, and we're inspired by you. Just keep doing it.
Thank you. Well done. And I'm a fan of Road to Success. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much.